And welcome, Rooster Boosters. It's Rooster Booster time. I'm the big guy, Scott Ferrara. That is Mike the Grandpua, Bob Perazini, coming at you from the Excelsior Pub in Albany, one of our watch party hosts. And let me shout out Stout at Penn Station, which is the official home of the watch party. Everybody watching over down at Pig and Whistle, our original home. Buckley's of Brooklyn is another one. And Beachmont in New Rochelle. Shout out to Rob down at the Beachmont being an official Rooney Bar. Mikey, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Was watching Super Saturday. I'm super pumped because, Italy won, so I can't be upset. Even though we got the wooden spoon, it's still a win, the first time in 7 years, so I'm happy. It's parade day here in Albany, so everyone's out drinking and looking forward to watching some rugby. So I'm excited.
Forza Azzurri, my friend. Forza Azzurri. So very excited about that. And real quick, there was a nail biter in Toronto. Toronto just beating out Utah at Zion Bank Stadium. In my opinion, Toronto dominated that match, and all of a sudden Utah came back. And woohoo, yeah, game day. Jason Zimmerman, number one Rooney fan. So it was interesting to see Toronto hold on, but we're about 29 minutes away from kickoff for Rooney versus NOLA Gold. We're down in NOLA. A place where I feel we don't play our best rugby, to be quite honest. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, we have struggled. This NOLA team in general is a team that, it seems like they like to niggle us and like to get under our skin. We definitely underperform, it seems like, whenever we go down to NOLA. So I'm hoping that, this year changes everything. Definitely have a strong team this year that hopefully, rises to the pressure, because we certainly did last week. So hoping to, make it 2 in a row.
Absolutely. So let's go over NOLA's squad. I'll start with the forwards. We have Matt Harmon at tight head, Pat O'Toole at hooker. We got Brian Nault at the other prop. Malcolm May, Ignacio Dottie in the middle there. Money Tungahua and Devin Short, who we just actually had in the rugby recently. Round off your flankers. And, of course, their captain, Cam Dolan, at the 8.
And Devereaux Ferris at 9, Robbie Coleman at 10, Ross Depperschmidt at 11, Carl Meyer at 12, Juan Capiello at 13, JP Duplessis at 14, and JP Eloff at 15.
Yeah, and we'll go over their bench real quick. You have George Sharp at 16, Kevin Sullivan at one prop, Dino Waldron at the other, William Waxapak, Masu Corio, Damian Stevens, Nick Feeks, and rounding out their squad of 23 is Harley Wheeler. We'll start off with the Rooney forwards. We got Chance Winnegluski, Caleb Geiger, and Kalolo Tuiloma rounding off our front row. Will Tucker and Nate Brakely at the 4 and 5. Ben Bonasso, Brendan O'Connor, and Cara Pryor rounding out the loose forwards.
And then Connor McManus at 9. Andy Ellis, late start, moving into 10 to take over for Heighton, who is taking the day off. And so Andy is now at 10. Ed Fido at 11. Jason Emery at 12. Fossey at 13. Andrew Coe at 14. And Troy Lockyer at 15.
And then to round off our bench, we got Dylan Fawcett, the Butcher, at 16. Nick Mayhew at 17. Wilton Rabolo at 18. Again, our front row, man, it's insane. Charlie Hewitt at 19. Joe Basser at 20. Connor Buckley at 21. Sam Windsor now stepping in where Andy was at 22. And Quinn Nawadi at 23, like Mike talked about. Originally, we had Jack Heighton at 10. Andy was on the bench. Sam was getting a rest tonight. And Jason, we're going to pound him. There we go. Late change up. Jack Heighton's off, not in the 23. Andy moves to 10, and we have Sam Windsor taking his place at 22. So interesting little play. I mean, I was talking about this with our friend Mikey Rodriguez before, and he was thinking like maybe we're just light on fly halves. And in my opinion, I don't think we're light as much as guys need a rest. And I think, honestly, when's the last time we really went for kicks besides in that nasty weather at home against Legion last week?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there's definitely, with the amount of scrum halves / fly halves that we have, it definitely poses an issue to opposition teams. Possibly, look at the playmakers that we have. Andy and Connor, are starting already. Great guys. Sam Windsor on the bench, and Connor Buckley. Connor Buckley, while he is new, is no slouch himself, and so that definitely creates some attacking difficulties, hopefully for NOLA Gold. And yeah, as super fan just pointed it out. Andrew Coe still, being amazing at 14 right now. So definitely a great back line, a very dynamic back line. So yes, thank you, Jason, for pointing that out.
And I think right now the biggest pregame talk is Dylan Fawcett, Sam Windsor are achieving milestones, playing in their 50th MLR match. Should they come in as reserves? I have a feeling they're both going to come in as reserves. And again, we get a lot of our information from our buddy Dougie Coyle, djcoilerugby.com. He has a great breakdown match preview on his website that I'm sure he put in the group and the page already. But always love to shout out Dougie for some love. But I want to talk about the Gola, the Gola. I put it together. The NOLA Gold lineup there, 23. Devin Short, Cam Nolan, two big-time playmakers for them as far as running the ball. Devin Short probably had his best game of his MLR career 2 weeks ago. And then you have guys coming off, back from injury like JP Eloff over at the fullback. Now, JP Eloff, in my opinion, reminds me of a Troy Lockyer in the fact that they both have booming boots, but they're very young and like to run the ball up. You know what I mean? So I think you're going to see a lot of counter running, especially you have JP Duplessis on that wing and Carl Meyer in the inside center. I think you'll see a lot of run-ups from JP Eloff because he'll have the ability to offload to two guys who can take it all the way through the game line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, added, Juan Capiello in there as well. He's when I talk about, the guys that like to, get under people's skin, he's the one that, comes to mind with his, what he did against us, last game of last year. So definitely, this is definitely a great attacking team by NOLA that can definitely, strike from anywhere and definitely loves to run the ball. So it will be interesting to see how we counter that, how our defense does to, try and contain NOLA.
Absolutely. And, speaking of our team, I think, what we saw last week in the San Diego match, Caleb Geiger getting his first start. Man, Caleb came in, picked the ball up, and was like a human wrecking ball. The dude's like a blonde gorilla. As to me and here's the thing, Jay, about me and Hammer. We love our team so much. We don't have an active bet going because we're really good friends and we wouldn't want to get pissed off at each other, to be quite honest. But me and him will be going back and forth, and we might even talk about doing a little halftime analysis on the Rugby Rant. We're not really sure yet. But we might be doing it weekly and just picking a match and kind of going on for some free content. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Caleb Geiger, like a blonde gorilla coming in there and wrecking people. Kalola Tuiuloma, obviously, I think for me, has been the MVP of the season so far with his offensive output, the way he's been single-handedly pushing scrums and wheeling them and playing great defense. And we see Ben Bonasso back to the lineup. I feel Ben hasn't really had a shine to him this season as much as maybe some of the other players have. And I think it's just the way we've been, the style of play we've been having where we haven't been doing the pick and goes. Ben is always there in support. So he's always there to get, an offload every so often. But I think, his biggest asset is picking the ball up and running forward and gaining that yardage.
Yeah, it definitely seems, we did a few times, it seems like last week, where we're doing those nice pick and goes. But yeah, definitely, Ben Bonasso, Kara Pryor, Nate Brakely, they excel at, those pick and goes, running hard. Even, Dylan Fawcett as well, pick and go right at the center, real quick, right? So they haven't set up that ruck yet, or, what I can say, guard dog and post. So hopefully we get the opportunity for Ben Bonasso to shine, like I said. But he's still hitting rucks. He's there, to counter ruck. He's there to secure rucks. So it's not like he's not doing his job. I just think he's definitely not in the spotlight as much as he was last season.
I think Ben and Kara are two guys we have to watch out for as far as what you were talking about. NOLA Gold playing a little bit of head games. Carl Meyer and Cam Dolan are arch enemy number 1 and 2 on that. And Ben and Kara are known to have some issues as far as keeping their cool sometimes. So I wonder if they're going to target those two guys as far as trying to disrupt whatever Rooney has going on the field. The other thing is I wonder what the counter ruck situation is going to be. I feel like in the past 5 matches, Even when Connor Buckley was in, and Connor Buckley, even though he played on the team last year, he didn't have that much playing time. This year, he got a ton of playing time, which was awesome in 4 matches. But they didn't seem to counter ruck him, in my opinion, which is something I feel like maybe you do to Connor McManus if I was NOLA, because Connor is just coming back from injury and stuff, to rattle him a little bit. It's one of those things, you might not win the possession, right? But you can kind of throw off his throw. So I wonder if we're going to see that finally from an MLR team as a tactic.
Yeah, there's so much of an emphasis on getting clean ball out of the ruck, and spend how much time is spent on the ruck that you talked about. I think we're around like 3 seconds. Each ruck is around 3 seconds before the ball is out. If NOLA decides, hey, we can let's counter ruck, they will definitely throw us off. You saw what Toronto did to us last season when Connor got his first start. They were just pounding him, just getting into his head, and that's exactly what happened. Hopefully, since he's a little older, this a little wiser, this doesn't happen. And I don't think it happened to him any further time, last season as well. After that, so I think he's adjusted to it, but old habits die hard. So who knows if one or two nice counter rucks makes him a little skittish around the ruck. And as you were saying before, with the fact, Carol Pryor, I think one of the few guys that got carded that game last season. In that last game, he got the yellow. He was one of the guys
that got the yellow. And Appy almost, Appy
2 yellows and a red. So no Appy today. So no need to see Appy doing a diving header into somebody. But yeah, definitely they'll key in on Kara and try and niggle him, hopefully to draw something and possibly get a penalty or a card out of it, so we go down for the guy for a little bit.
Yep. I liked Nick Mayhew off the bench last week. He did provide a spark that we needed. And again, Nick is one of those guys that can start. I think it's one of those things where you're just kind of gauging on how well somebody did in practice and see if they're going to move forward with that momentum. Not to say Nick didn't do well in practice, but sometimes guys edge you out. I gotta be honest. Most of the time, I guarantee that 95% of your front row players are playing hurt. Not necessarily playing injured, but playing hurt, and that could affect what they're doing in practice, and then thus that affects how we get to 23. But I love them coming off the bench. He did provide a spark. I think what we need to do, and we saw Ed Fidel in the first 2 matches really power through and make some breaks, and now I think teams are so scared of him and Fassi Fuatai and Andrew Coe and Jason Emery in that back line that their defensive line is spread out, but that means there's gaps around the breakdown, and that's what we need to hit. We either need to have Jason and Fassi going straight with the ball in hand, from 10, skip over to Fassi, or hit Jason on the inside and just go straight, or we need to have those pick and goes we talked about, or go weak side. We have to really stop with the chip kicks. I don't think the chip kicks are getting us anywhere because we're not successful with it. But I think if we continue to bring it outside every so often and hammer the inside, I think that'll make the difference in this match.
Absolutely. And I think, speaking to guys that, coming off the bench and doing, a lights out job, I think Quinn Nguati came off the bench, last week as well. Lights on defense, helped to hold, that Rugby New York line, and then was, lights out receiving kicks and catching the ball, run it right back into contact. A thankless job. When you do it well, everyone says, of course, that's your job. You're supposed to do it well. But when you mess up, you go, oh God, why don't you do that? But I think Quinn did great job coming in off the bench, coming off cold, and still doing real good. Lockdown defense, like we know he does.
Absolutely, and I think the other thing we talked about is our work in the breakdown. Obviously, Nate Brakely is probably our number one jackler on the team, but Brendan O'Connor seems to get his head dirty very well, and so does Will Tucker. I think what I'm waiting to see is how we're going to respond in the scrum. I do think we have the better forward pack than NOLA Gold, but I also think we have the better pack than New England does, and we struggled against New England. So sometimes it's just a matter of making that execution, and can we execute at the gold mine on airline where we have not played well in the past. It's going to be tough. Lineouts, we have Caleb really starting and throwing his lineouts at the beginning. I tried to get a weather report from our buddy Benji down at the Gold Diggers in NOLA. I know he was at the party. I know there's a bunch of Rooney fans down there, and he's kind of playing the host, so he didn't get back to me. So I wonder if there's going to be a win that's going to affect the throw.
Yeah, from what I can see right now, it says evening. Right now, it's 59 degrees. I think the high today was 67, so a fairly nice day. Uh, it looks like 7 mile an hour wind, so
Okay,
nothing
so it
nothing
really
too
shouldn't affect the throw.
nothing too high.
Yeah.
Shouldn't affect the throw. Shouldn't affect kicks, depending on where the wind is. But even then, it
Mhm.
5 miles an hour. That's not a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, when Caleb played, he had one or two that weren't straight, and that happens. We've seen the Butch do that too. But again, I just wonder, a match full, what kind of consistency we're going to have when he throws, because he might just get excited. That's one of the things we talk about when we speak to the guys right on our Tuesday show is how they kind of temper their expectations when they do get the start, and things like that. So I just, again, not that I don't have all the confidence in the world in Caleb Geiger's throwing ability, but I also have played sports before and know how it is sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah. And who knows if at the time anything could happen. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen Butch, where it seems like he's had the yips before, and we can't get a line out throw. Or we've seen like this happens a million fucking times where we've gotta secure like a good line out. Like we got a great attacking platform. We just all we need is good line out, and we can score a try, and they won't put it straight, and it'll be a bad not straight. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
it's making like
making
a
sure we
90
know. Yeah.
degree right turn, like it's making a right on red, or it's
You
all the
know,
way through the back, and the back guy's never ready for it.
Yeah. So it's I think let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's focus especially on those lineouts. Let's make sure that we got good ball in hand. We got tall guys that are jumping, so it's not like they're short and they're not a big target. So let's make sure that we get that ball into our hands, and then let's hit that attacking platform from there because we
And
know
hold on to
we
the
can
ball, man.
yeah, and hold on to the ball too, please. Oh, for the love of God, go to the tackle and hold on to the ball, people.
I mean, yeah, I think that was our biggest issue last week, even though we did win the match, was holding on to the ball. And bonehead plays again. We had, a play where we kicked the ball back to ourselves, on an advantage for San Diego when nobody was home, and San Diego capitalized by just running down the field with the ball. You got to continue with the play. It's live until you play the whistle, and that kind of thing just seemed like a frustration play to me, and it bit us in the butt as far as bringing San Diego back into the match.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, I think, I think that goes under the whole NOLA can be frustrating kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We got to keep a cool head, make sure that they don't get under our skin. And let's, if mistakes happen, keep playing, play through the whistle. If the mistake happens, keep on playing, keep on playing. Don't try to force something, because when you try to force something like we did last week, it ends up most of the time being 10 times worse. Just
Mm-hmm.
dive on the ball, set up a ruck, go through the process again.
Absolutely. So we're coming up on the 10 minutes until kickoff. Remind me, Mike, what was your points here?
I just checked again. I don't know what I said on
I'm gonna have to check.
Tuesday, but I am going to go with Rugby New York by 5.
By 5.
I think
I'm
that
going. Yeah, go ahead. Go.
I think we're definitely have a strong attacking platform coming off of that tight win last week. Even though Jack's not in, we still have a lot of attacking power and a whole bunch of different angles that we can attack from. Lots of opportunities. So I'm thinking, hopefully, we get a nice win. Rugby New York by 5.
We got Jason Zimmerman, number one Rooney fan, Rugby New York by 9. But Jasmine agreed with our point. Jazz, as you guys don't know, runs the merch booth down for Rugby New York. So next week when we're in Toronto, or when Toronto's here, rather, go see Jazz. We have some great hats. We have great new merch coming out. I kind of put it, out there in the thing. My girl Susie, NOLA by less than 5. Susie, I know you're a NOLA fan, but we're still no longer friends. Mikey asking who will be the goal kicker. Any guesses? I'm going to say it's Andy. We saw him kick last year when he had to, so I'm going to assume it's Andy or Troy. To be quite honest, I think Andy or Troy are your two. It's okay, Susie. I still love you. But anyway, yeah. So I'm going Rooney by 3. I think it's going to be tight again. For some reason, we just don't play well down there, and that's not saying. Sorry, just putting up the chat. Who's Susie? I love Jay, and I love now Susie. Susie is a great fan, a great ambassador of what rugby fans should be, as far as being gracious and being upbeat and being nice to everybody. And she does her fandom for NOLA, and I love it. So I love Susie. But yeah, I'm saying Rooney by 3. I think it's going to be tough. I think you're going to see some plays that make you cringe for whatever reason. We just don't play well at the goal line, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, we do that bend not break defense, and we hold Nola on the goal line. But God only knows like what will happen. There definitely will be some cringe plays. You're going to have to check your blood pressure afterwards. This is remember this is a New York sports team. So if they don't give you some sort of agita, like are they really doing their job?
No, they're not doing their job. I mean, I think most of the cardiologists in the state of New York get paid because people like us have to go to them after matches like we're going to watch. But guys, enjoy at the Excelsior Pub up in Albany. Again, we're at Stout at Penn Station. If you're not already down there, get your butt down there for the official watch party. I know the Pig and Whistle is still having their watch party. Buckley's of Brooklyn, again, another one of our partners for watch parties, and the Beachmont up in New Rochelle across from Iona College. Check out my buddy Rob. I'm the big guy, Scott Farrar. That's Mike the Grand Poobah Perazini. Have a great match. Go Rooney. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday.
See it.